Hi guys, so welcome to MJ Apparel, and today we'll be learning how to cut this beautiful A-line gown with a bishop collar and a sleeve. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and also drop a comment. So we'll go straight to the tutorial proper. Here I have my fabric laid. There are two methods used in cutting an A-line or a flay gown. You can decide to use a bias method or slash and spread method, but in this tutorial today we are going to be using the bias method. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to fold our fabric using the bias method. And in folding it, I'll take this part and take it this way. It should be in form of a triangle. So this is what the bias method should look like. So remember, we took this part and took it over to this point like this. When folding, you should have a triangle when you fold, and try to arrange it to make sure that everywhere lays down well. Make sure that what you have here should be able to accommodate the bust, and also the lower part should be able to accommodate the hip. So this is what the bias will look like after you have folded it. So I'm just trying to arrange it to make sure that everything lays very well. Next, we are going to be inserting our shoulder measurement at this point. The shoulder I'm working with is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So I'll be marking the 7.5 at this point. After which I will draw a straight line. So this line I'm drawing at this point is going to start as my starting point. I'll be taking all my measurement from this line. So next thing I'll be doing is to confirm the measurement. So here I have my 7.5. After which I will come down and also mark the same 7.5 so as to get a straight line. Next, I will connect the 2 points together using a straight line like this. So this is going to serve as our armhole line. So next I'll be doing is to come down by 1 inch on this armhole line for the shoulder slope. Then I'll also take my armhole depth measurement, which is 8 inch. So this here is our armhole line, while this point here is our chest line where I'll be inserting the bust measurement. So I'll be inserting the bust measurement on the chest line, and the bust measurement I'm using is 45 divided by 4 is 11.25. So I'll mark that at this point, after which I'm going to be drawing my armhole curve like this at this point. So this here will serve as the back armhole. I'm going to be drawing the front armhole. In doing that, I'll be dividing what I have here by 2, which is 8 divided by 2, we have 4. Then from this point, I'll go in by 0.75. Then I'll connect upward using a straight line. Then I'll connect the down to the chest line using a curve. So this here is going to serve as the front armhole, while the first one we drew will serve as the back armhole. So next I'm going to be inserting my allowance. First I'll be inserting 1 inch for ease, after which I will insert another 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'm adding 2 inch, 1 for ease and 1 for sewing allowance. Then I'll connect to the armhole line. Next I'll be doing is to insert the length of the gown. The length of the gown I'm working with is 42 inch plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance for hemming and 0.5 inch for joining the shoulders together. So all together I'll be taking 44 inch. So I'm going to be marking the 44 inch round as the length of the gown, making sure that my tape is at this line I drew at the top. After which I'll connect the points together. So our fabric is short at this point, you couldn't get the length, so I'll be adding it up when sewing, and I'll show you how to do that also. So after connecting the down part, I'm going to be connecting the side also. So you just take your ruler and draw a straight line from the armhole down to the hem. so you don't need your hip measurement when making this gown, because it's a free gown. So you just connect using a straight line like this. So this is what you are going to be having after connecting the line. So next, you're going to be inserting the neck width and the neck depth. The neck width I'm going to be using is 3 inch, which will be the same for the front and back, but the neck depth will differ. So the neck width, I'm going to be marking the 3 inch at this point, while the neck depth for the front is going to be 3.5, but the neck depth for the back is going to be 1.5, because I'm going to be attaching a bishop collar to the gown. So I'm just going to draw my neckline at this point like this. Next, I will draw my shoulder slope at this point. Remember, the shoulder is not straight, so I will draw the shoulder slant. So next, I'm going to be cutting out the front. So this is what we have after cutting. Remember, this part here is shorter, so I'm going to be adding the pieces to it to complete it. So I have these pieces. I'm going to be placing it this way. I'll place it this way on the gown, making sure that it is 0.5 inch on the lower part, and you also take note of the good side of the fabric. So I'll place it 0.5 inch on the one below. So after which, I'm going to be securing it with a pin. Make sure that it aligns very well before you cut it out. So I will secure it with my pins so that it doesn't shift when I'm cutting it out. After securing it with my pin, I'll fold it over and I'll cut off the excess. So this is what you are going to be having when we open it up like this. So this is the part I attached. So next thing I'll be doing is to use this to cut the back. After doing that, I'll come back. After cutting the back, this is what we have. I also added the zipper allowance at the back because I'm making a bishop collar, so I need an opening at the back, and this is what we have on this point. I also added to the back when I was cutting the back. So here I have the front and the back, and remember the back, the depth of the back is 1.5 inch, and I added the zipper allowance. So I've closed up this part that I joined. I closed and ironed. This is what we have. As you can see, it is not even looking like there is a joining. Here is my sleeve. You can cut whatever type of sleeve you want for the gown. So I have the sleeve for the gown, and I also have a lining. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to attach my lining to the front and the back. But if you are not using a lining, you can skip this part. So I'll just do that, after which I'll come back. So after turning with our lining, this is what we have. So I turned both the front and the back. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to close up the zipper allowance on the center back, and also to attach my zip. As you can see, I didn't turn the neck because I'll be attaching the bishop collar on the neck, so the front and the back neck is still having its rough edges. So I'll just quickly go over to close up the zipper allowance, and also to fix my zip. I'll also join the shoulders and also the side. So for my zip, I'm not attaching the zip completely. I'll be leaving like 2 inch at the top, which I'll be sewing on the bishop collar. So this is what we have. After joining the side and the shoulder, I've given it a good press. So this is the side and the shoulder. As you can see, the neckline is too rough because we are attaching the collar to the neckline, And also the zip, I still have some part of it hanging because I'm going to be sewing it on the collar. But if you are not adding a zip, if you're using a slit, you don't need to do this. So the next I'm going to be doing is to attach my sleeve to the gown. So here I have my sleeve. I'll just quickly go over my sewing machine and finish it up. I will join the side and also the hem of the sleeve. After doing that, I'm going to attach it to the gown, after which we'll move over to the next stage, which is drafting of the collar. So I'll just do this and come back. So here I have my sleeve attached to the gown already. Next, we'll be moving over to drafting the collar. So we'll be going over to draft our bishop collar. The first thing I'm going to be doing right now is to draw a straight line, which will serve as a guide for me. So this is where I'm going to be starting my measurement from. So you just locate any point on your pattern paper and draw a straight line like this. So next I'm going to be locating any point and mark. So this line here is going to serve as my shoulder or midpoint. So next I'm going to be measuring the circumference of the neck. So the first thing I'm going to do is to place my fabric on the table like this. Then I'll measure from the center back to the shoulder, after which I'm going to be locating the midpoint of the front. So I'll be locating the center part of the front. Then I'm also going to take the measurement from the shoulder to the center of the garment. In doing that, you make sure that the shoulders meet. Then you locate the midpoint of the front. Then you take your measurement like this. So this is going to be for the front of the collar. So here I have 5.5, which I'm going to be writing down at this point like this. So next I'm going to be measuring from the center back to the shoulder also. So that's if you're attaching the sleeve. If you are not, you locate the midpoint on the center back and measure to the shoulder. After doing that, this is what I have. I have 5.5 also for the back. So I'm going to be inserting those measurements at this line I drew here. So this point here is going to serve as the back. Right here will serve as the front. So the next I'm going to be doing is to insert the back and front measurement I took. So remember we have 5.5 for the back. So I'll measure to this center line. Then I'll mark. Then I'll also insert the front measurement from the center line and also mark. Next we'll be inserting the width of the collar. So you can use 1 inch, 1.25 or 1.5. But for this class, I'm going to be using 1.25 as my neck width, which I just mark at this point. So on this center front line, this point, I'm going to square up the line. So this is our center front. Next, at the lower part, I'm going to be going up by 0.5 inch at this point. After which I'll connect to the center line here using a slight curve. So next thing I'll be doing is from this 0.5 inch point, I'm going to be marking the 1.25 for the width of the collar. So I'll be marking it at this point. Then after which I'm going to be drawing a slant line. It should be 0.25 or 0.5 inch away from the straight line so that the collar will fit perfectly on the center front. So I'll draw the slant line at this point like this. Then I'll confirm my measurements again to be sure that I have 1.25 at this point. So next thing I'll be doing is to connect the front to the back using a slide curve. But before I connect it, I'm going to be confirming this midpoint line to make sure that it is also 1.25 inch so that I can have equal width for the collar. So this is what the bishop collar is going to look like. So here we have the back, while this will serve as the front. Next thing I'll be doing is to cut it out. This is what we have after cutting. Next I'll be cutting it on my fabric. So I'm going to be cutting two pieces of the collar. One will serve as the lining, while the other will serve as the main fabric. And when placing on your fabric, make sure you fold it in bias form so that the collar will fit well on the neck. So I'm going to be adding 0.5 inch sewing allowance round, but I'll not be adding it at the center front. So I'm cutting it on fold. I'm cutting the collar on fold, and I will add 0.5 inch sewing allowance round, but I will not be adding the 0.5 inch allowance on the folded part of the collar. So after cutting, this is what we have. I'll open it up for you to see what it looks like. So here we have it open. Next I'll be cutting my gum stay. I'll be using the pattern to cut my gum stay and attach it to it, after which I'll show you the results. So this is what it looks like. I have attached my gum stay to the collar. I attach it to just one part without attaching it to the sewing allowance. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to join the two collars together, good side facing good side, after which I'm going to be sewing the upper part of the collar. I'm going to be sewing my 0.5 inch round. So after sewing, this is what we have. I've sewn the 0.5 inch this way. Next I'm going to be notching it round, after which I will turn it over to the good side and give it a good press. So I'm also be folding in my 0.5 inch sewing allowance I gave on both sides. So I do that and iron it so that it will lay flat, after which I'll come back and show you the final result. So after ironing it, this is what I have. So this here I folded the 0.5 inch inside, and I folded the same thing at this point. Folding it will make sewing the collar to the garment easier. So the next we are going to be doing is to attach the collar to our garment. So here I have my garment turned on the wrong side, and we'll be inserting the part of the collar that does not have a gum stay on it. So here I have notched the center of the garment I'm making. The center front is notched, and also the collar, also the center front is also notched. Then I'll place the two of them together and sew. Remember, I'm sewing the part that does not have a gum stay, so I'll sew it down to the back. Because there's a zipper, I'm going to be sewing it to the zipper allowance, after which I'll sew the remaining zip on the collar. But if you're not attaching a zipper, you will stop where the neckline stop. So I'm going to be doing that, and I will also do the same thing on the other side. After attaching to this point, I will also take from the center again down to the back. So I'll just do that quickly and show you the results. It's very important to start from the center so that you can trim off any excess at the end after attaching the collar. So remember, it's 0.5 inch we are sewing. So that is why we ironed it. It will be easier to sew because it is iron. So I'll just place it at the midpoint like this, and I will sew the 0.5 inch to the back, and I will do same to the other side too. After which I will come back and show you the results. So I have attached the collar to the neckline of the gown. So I started from the midpoint to the back, and I did the same thing for the other side also. Next, I'll be turning it over like this. So I still have my zip hanging because I will sew the zip on the collar. So I'm turning it over like this. So after turning it, this is what we have. As you can see, the inside is looking very neat. So next to be going over to sew the front. I'll just turn it over, and this is what we have. So this is the reason why we iron, because we have ironed the 0.5 inch. It will be easier to sew. As you can see, the next to be doing is to sew at the edge like this, round to the back. We'll do it on both sides. So you need to iron that 0.5 inch to have a neat finishing at this point, after which I will sew my zip on the collar. So I'll just go over my sewing machine to run the stitch, after which I'll come back and show you the final results. So after doing that, this is the final result. As you can see, it came out very well and also very neat. This is what the outer part look like. So I'll just open up the zip so that you will see what the inside look like. So this is what we have on the inner part. As you can see, the stitch is very neat. So here we have the final look of the gown. So we have attached the collar and the sleeve, and I've given the gown a good press. As you can see, the gown came out perfect and it came out very nice. So you can also try yours and drop a comment in the comment section. So if this video was helpful to you, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and also drop a comment. I will see you in my next class. Thank you.